Welcome to episode 5 of Afterthoughts. My name is Carson Willie, and today I want to talk about 12 principles for life that are going to give you a life of strength, meaning, impact, just overall effectively impacting people around you in a really positive way, kind of achieving the goals that you've always dreamt of achieving. I think these are 12 principles, from different people that I've picked out that I feel resonate and are so powerful in curating the life that you want, whatever that may look like. If you want to live a life of strength, meaning, and impact, there are principles that stand the test of time. Today, like I said, I'm going to be breaking down 12 of them. Ideas pulled from some of the sharpest thinkers in ancient philosophy and modern self-mastery. Thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, Jordan Peterson, Robert Greene, Alex Hormozi, and Chris Williamson, just to name some of them. But these aren't quick fixes. They're time-tested codes for becoming who you're meant to be. So grab a notebook, let's take some notes, reflect, and more importantly, apply them going forward. Let's dive in. Rule number 1, play long-term games. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. But play long-term games and you win legacy. What does that mean? It means stop taking shortcuts. Stop chasing shortcuts. Stop pivoting every time something doesn't work or feel instantly rewarding. Long-term games are about compounding value, trust, skill, and impact. For example, let's look at Alex Hormozi. His empire wasn't built chasing trends. It came from years of refining his craft and playing in the same direction. Chris Williamson, same thing. He went from a Love Island contestant to probably one of the most recorded, respected podcast hosts by showing up consistently for years. Warren Buffett, everybody knows this story. His wealth exploded not in his 30s, but in his 60s and 70s. Why? Time plus direction. So, how do we get to a point where we can play long-term games? Audit your goals. Are they built for today's dopamine hit? Or are they stacking towards something that you'll be proud of at 80? So we need to stop and look back and think, what kind of investments have I putting my time into? What kind of investments do I put into people? What kind of investments do I put into my money? Are you thinking, sure, maybe you want the nice thing from the store and it's a shiny object, or maybe you want to, impress someone, or you want the vacation. I think those things are good and finding balance in those, but understanding where and how you invest your time and resources. You have to think, you talk about you want this, and this in life, and you want to chase these things, but are you willing to put that money away to get that investment property down the line? Are you willing to save money now so that you can make big moves later on in investment portfolios, or making sure you're set up for, when you get a girlfriend and you want to be able to spend money on her, but to have cushion, if you work a job that isn't always your 9 to 5, maybe you work commission-based stuff, and your income isn't always guaranteed. Are you making long-term investments, long-term plays that are going to help you? And are you thinking long-term? Are you thinking about how the video that you made isn't the winning one right now, but it's a piece of the puzzle that keeps you going forward, that eventually that viral video hits because you've put enough consistency and time that you're into the algorithm now? That's the mindset that we have to have. Number 2, become dangerous and then disciplined. Jordan Peterson says best, a harmless man is not a good man. A good man is a very dangerous man who has that under voluntary control. Powerful. I think our culture, in a way, celebrates softness. But the truth is, strength is super necessary, especially as a man. Discipline, restraint, and moral clarity, even more necessary. I mean, think of martial artists, for example. They train their bodies and their minds to become lethal, but rarely use it. You don't see them out in the streets hurting people, using their skills and training against other people. MMA fighters, for example, probably some of the most restrained people. I mean, these are walking lethal weapons, and yet they choose not to use it, but they're capable of it. True power is quiet, controlled, intentional. Understanding as a man that it is your responsibility to be capable of solving issues, to be capable of violence. As a man, if you're not capable of violence, but you can restrain that violence, then what do you have to lean on? I mean, when the time comes and situations arise, are you going to be able to handle that? Especially physically, in a world that we live in today. Can you handle that? Someone breaks into your house. I mean, these are things that people want to act like will never happen to them, but it could. It could happen to anyone. And just understanding, like, it could be you're out in public and someone's disrespecting your girlfriend, your sister, or your mom. Are you going to be able to handle that altercation? I mean, you don't have to go around being mean to people, but you need to understand that power, there is true power residing in the ability to control, the ability to cause chaos, the ability to cause harm on people. That's a superpower. And you see it in the biggest people, the strongest people, the most capable people, people that people know are capable of violence, are probably the nicest people you've ever met. I mean, think about if you're out at the bar. How many guys, you always look at the guy that's yelling and saying he's going to do something. That's probably the guy that's not going to do something. It's the guy who stands there and listens and just intently stares at the person yelling in his face that you should probably be afraid of, because they don't need to express what they're capable of. They'll just do it when it matters. So, where in your life do you need to become stronger? Mentally, physically, emotionally? And once you have that strength, will you lead with wisdom? So it doesn't matter if you have all these attributes. If you can't control them, it doesn't matter. I mean, think of where the world would be if men couldn't control themselves. It would be chaos. We would probably cease to exist as a human race, if you really think about it. It is only because we choose to restrain ourselves and restrain the gifts and powers and skills that we have that we can flourish. And that's where I think true masculinity resides. So, again, I'll come in. Become dangerous and then become disciplined. Rule number 3. Outwork your self-doubt. Confidence is not a prerequisite, it's a result. What do I mean by that? You're not going to be confident right away. Like you don't need to come into a certain situation, you don't need to come into a new situation, whether it's a new job, it's a sporting event. I mean, there's going to be a first time for those moments. Can you become self-confident up to that point to some degree? Sure. And that comes through preparation, but it's not a prerequisite. I mean, I think butterflies is a sign of good. I think being nervous is a sign of good. That's your body reacting to the moment being big, whatever that is. I mean, it's not going to happen right away, but it has to become a result of the work that you do, outworking your self-doubt. Alex Hormozi, for example, didn't believe in himself at the start. He worked like anybody, like hell, until belief followed proof. But emotions can't be trusted early on. Repetition builds conviction. So we talk about this. Affirmations are not shouting in the mirror, telling yourself who you are, thinking about who you are, telling other people who you are. That's not where self-confidence is built. Self-confidence is built in telling yourself to do the small things, do the hard things, and doing them over and over and over again, that you prove to yourself that you're capable of doing those hard things. And when you prove to yourself that you're capable of doing hard things, it shows other people, and it more importantly shows yourself that you are who you say you are. You need to outwork the self-doubt that you have. It's not gonna be easy right away. You're not gonna have the confidence that you wish you had right away. But every single day, working little by little by little, you'll find that. It'll grow. It'll grow. You'll become more knowledgeable in what it is you're doing. And with knowledge comes confidence. With experience comes confidence. You can't learn without doing, without trying, jumping off in the deep end. So, kind of a challenge, a weekly challenge I want to give people when I think about this, outworking your self-doubt. Set one uncomfortable goal per week, something that you would normally procrastinate on, and go after it aggressively. Think about the things that you delay in your life. What is it? It could be not getting the extra workout in or doing the cardio that you should do, restraining yourself from the meal, going up and saying hi to one girl a week that's really pretty because you don't like to go talk to girls because it's nerve-wracking. Do something uncomfortable. What you'll find, I think, in that process is, one, it's not as bad as you thought it was. And once you do it, you realize that it really wasn't that much work to do in the first place. You delayed it for so long. You were so uncomfortable for so long. And then you did it and realized, I'm capable of doing it. And it's exciting. And you feel a sense of accomplishment from that. So just kind of jumping forward deep, off the deep end into that. So set one uncomfortable goal, something you normally procrastinate on, and go after it aggressively. Rule number 4. Memento mori. Remember, you must die. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and what you say and think. Marcus Aurelius. I think this is a tough subject. I think we often avoid thinking about death. But I think when we ignore what the reality of being human means, we waste life. Steve Jobs said it best. Remembering I'll be dead soon is probably the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make big choices in life. The truth is, when you face the reality of your morality, your priorities change. Petty drama fades. You stop putting off your dreams. You stop numbing yourself. You act. It can be a dark thing. It can be like I said, a very hard thing to come to terms with. The fact that you don't know when you're going to die. Sometimes we're reminded in really tragic events in our lives, we lose people that we really care about. We understand how, throws us into this clarity about life and how precious it is. But it seems like we live in that moment and we talk about it when it happens, but it only lasts before it fades again. And then we go back to living our lives and we get absorbed into the things that we do in everyday lives. And, we just put it off one more day because it's not that big of a deal. I'll just do it tomorrow. The time doesn't seem right to chase my dreams. I don't have the money I need right now. I don't have the resources I need right now. Rather than just kind of making do with what you have. There's no urgency. I mean, you need to think about, what if, there are people out there that wish they were me. Step back and look at your life. Look at the things that you have in your life, the blessings, the small things you have in your life. Think about all the materialistic things you have in your life. None of it matters. You're going to die. You can't take any of it with you. We're all going to the grave with the exact same net worth. 0. And although that keeps a really fresh perspective and refreshing perspective on letting things that don't matter go, at the same time, it should create an urgency in your life. It should create this urgency that, I need to spend more time with my loved ones. I need to chase the dreams I had, because the worst thing that can happen if you chase your dreams is you fail and you try again, or you fail and you go back to what everybody does for a normal life anyway, which is work a 9 to 5. So the worst possible case is you go back to what you were doing beforehand. Think about that. Start putting death in a frontal perspective in your life. I promise you it'll change how you approach things. I promise it'll change how you look at things with gratitude and urgency. So, start tomorrow when you wake up with this question. If today were my last day, would this matter? And then live like it matters. Rule number 5. Build a life, not just a lifestyle. So, culture tells us to chase aesthetics. Think about it. Culture will tell you, society will tell you, you got to have a perfect body, the nice car, the fancy apartment. But why? What do you need those for? Who are you impressing with those things? What happens when all these things that are Instagram worthy and you want to post on Instagram, what happens when that goes away, or if that goes away someday? I mean, do that exercise. Think about, what would my life look like? How would I approach moments? How would I approach things I post if I didn't post them? If people didn't care? Because I think the reality of the situation is a lot of people don't. We focus so much on building a life that we think others think feels good to live, rather than building a life that feels good to live. Not one that just looks good in photos. You're trying to build a lifestyle for everybody else, but it's not what you want to do. You know, we say we don't want to care about what people think. We say we live for ourselves and do things for ourselves, but we live in a society where we do things so that others may love us for what we do and not for who we are. And it's something that I think even I struggle with. Is like sometimes getting caught up in like, what would other people think of me if I didn't do this? Or if I didn't dress like this? You know, in the days that you want to maybe just take a day off. You dress really nice during the weekend. You just want to dress like a slob one day. Do it. Do what you want to do. Stop putting other people's perspectives and the lifestyle that people believe that you should live, because you create a false narrative. And I think it comes back to bite you when people meet you, because there's this pre-misconception about who you should be. You know, I think we can all attest to this, you know, guys in particular. You see a girl and her Instagram is super themed out and it looks good and stuff like that. And you build this expectation about who this person should be. And then when they're not that, we sabotage things. We're disappointed. And that's no fault of hers. Sure, she could take accountability for that, but at the same time, it's not fair to build those about people. But how do you control how people build opinions about you? Because there's the people that build a life that feels good to live and just post whatever they want. And they might not get the most likes, but those people are happy. They don't need to post their stuff online. Chris Williamson talks about how you can have followers and still feel empty. Hormozi often says, no amount of money compensates for a lack of meaning. So let's reflect on that. How do we step back and think, I need to do things for myself and not for others? If no one could see your life, would you still want it? If no one could see your life, would you still want it? Can you truly say, when you step back, that behind the scenes, the things you do, the moments you experience, if no one else saw it, would you be happy with it? And I think for a lot of people, the truth is that they wouldn't, because they want to go to that concert and pull out their phone and let everybody else know that they're at that concert, rather than soaking up the moment. They get in a relationship and they want to show off their partner and brag about this and seem better than everybody else in a comparison. And so they post them all the time to mask for the problems that they might have behind doors, rather than focusing on what really matters: attention to people, living in the moment, living in the present. So can you truly say, stepping back, that that is something that you truly would still want if no one else saw your life? Take a break here for a second. Go on to rule number 6. Rule number 6. Master emotional detachment. Robert Greene teaches that emotions are an enemy of strategy. Life moves fast, people trigger us, situations overwhelm us. But reacting emotionally is how people lose control and lose respect. Green's most powerful characters in the 48 Laws of Power are never the loudest. They're the ones who observe, process, and then strike. Have you ever thought about maybe how you react in the moment? You probably grew up, your mom talked to you about thinking before you speak. And I think even as adults, as you grow up, you reflect on situations where you reacted prematurely to a situation with a warped perception, a perception warped not by necessarily what you saw, but how you felt about what you saw or heard or experienced. Instead of sitting back and contemplating through decisions, when your back is against the wall, how do you react? Do you sit and mope about your situation? Do you go and complain to other people about it? Relationships, when you're having troubles, are you the person to go right away and go talk bad about your partner to other people? Or are you somebody who sits down with your partner and has a hard conversation about, this is what we need to fix, this is what I need to fix? Are you slow to anger? Do you see situations for what they are, or do you jump into what just feels like it in the moment? Because it goes back to what Robert Greene said, they're an enemy of strategy. You can't strategize when you have no control over your emotional state. There's no clear decision made. You're not using any sense of logic. People are going to upset you. Situations are going to stress you out, and life does not stop moving. So you need to learn emotionally. It's how you're going to, if you cannot control your emotions, they will control you. And that's not freedom. You're not free if your emotions control you. And then piles into the losing respect part of things. How are you going to earn the respect of people around you as somebody who's capable of doing things for them or capable of holding down the fort? I understand being human, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to have moments where you get overwhelmed. But I always say, and this is just something I've lived by, is I say, you think you know somebody, but how do they react in an unideal situation for them? When they're in a situation that does not fit their narrative, that they don't like, that they are uncomfortable in, how do they react towards you, towards others, towards the situation? Observe that. Think about those people in your life. Do you really know them? Observe them in that situation. Have you observed them in that situation? Because if your partner is somebody who, in a situation that's unideal to them, will yell at you, that's not a good partner. We need to stop falling in love with people's potential and start falling in love with people's patterns. The same with business. The same with family relationships. How do people control their emotions when it isn't suitable to them? And how do you control your emotions when they're not suitable to you? So, the next time you feel triggered, pause. Label the emotion. What are you feeling? Anger, fear, pride? And then you need to sit and choose your response intentionally, not impulsively. That's true power. That's true control. That's true freedom. Rule number 7. Clean your room before you criticize the world. So before you try to solve the world's problems, solve your own. I think this is something that I struggle with. I think this is something a lot of people struggle with, is we think about all these external problems around us and how can we fix other people's problems, but you haven't even focused on your own. How are you going to pour into other people intentionally, but neglect yourself? Because you might succeed in helping other people around you, but at what cost? We've seen people that you've probably watched people that you love in your life that are these people that give. And I think that's a good trait, but they don't know when to stop. They don't fix what's going on with them. They're too worried about other people, and it drains the life, the energy out of them. till one day they break and they can't do it anymore because you're human. Have you set up systems in your own life to set good patterns into your own life and taken time for yourself so that you can pour into other people when you do? Chaos in your space often mirrors chaos in your mind. I agree with this. When I'm getting to know people or people I'm meeting for the first time and going to their place, their car, the way they dress, their room, going back to the room is a good, what does it look like? Because if that's messy, there's probably other parts of their life that's messy. And it probably reflects what's going on up here, right? And I think a lot of people could attest to the idea that a clean room always feels better. A clean space always feels less clutter. You know, your mind, it's a place of relaxation. It's a place of focus. But I think that reflects outwardly. I mean, if I get into somebody's car and it's really dirty, that's kind of a it's kind of a false alarm, right? And I'm not saying that life doesn't happen and things happen, but being intentional about taking time every week to clean your space and organize your space, you have to remember, like, of all the chaos that you might handle in the outside world and other people's messes, you're going to come home to another mess. You're not getting a mental break. And I know you come home and you feel overwhelmed. And so you just step into a space that's even more overwhelmed and your life just feels out of touch and you're like, oh, I'll get it when I get it. And you just never get it. A clean space can transform the way you take time for yourself and your energy with yourself. So, small wins compound, okay? Make your bed in the morning. I know, I'm one of these people that has a constant issue of, well, I'm just going to sleep in it anyway again. But it's not about that, because yes, you are going to sleep in it again. It's the idea of doing something structured, getting something done, something small done in the morning. You have a bill, stop sitting and negotiating with yourself. I'm going to pay half of this, I want to budget this, and what about, just pay the bill. Get it off your head, because it's going to bother you. It's going to eat at you. You're never going to feel truly okay doing whatever it is you're going to do. If you have a bill, pay it fully. Get it done with, even if it hurts a little bit at that time. You got it done. There's accomplishment in that. There's a win in that. Okay? Call your mom. That's a small win. Call the people that you love. Talk to the people that care about you in your life. That's a small win. That's positivity in your day. Find small things that are wins for you, because life is going to be stressful. Life is going to be messy. And you can be the first person to criticize anybody and everybody else's situation, but you can't even clean your own room. Peterson's point behind this, when he talks about this, if you can't fix your room, how will you fix your city, your country, and your soul? If anybody can answer that question, I'd be happy to hear. But I think Peterson's on something there. Internally work on yourself and then go help other people solve problems. Because you're going to be so much more effective in helping them navigate and helping them problem solve, because you've done it. And it's not going to add that stress to you. And if it does, you get to go home to spaces, you get to go home to systems and to people that care about you, that's clean, that's organized, that's orderly. And that's a recipe for winning. Rule number 8. Choose courage over comfort. Comfort is the silent killer of greatness. Williams left stability to chase deep work. He had it all. He was a nightclub promoter, was on Love Island, had some fame, became known, good looks. He left that life behind to chase something that wasn't certain, a podcast that who knew if it was ever going to blow up. And here he is almost 900 episodes later, and he's one of the biggest podcasters in the world. Marcus Aurelius ruled during plagues and war, but still, in the moment of all this chaos happening around him, instead of being comfortable, he wrote about virtue and courage. You need to identify your easy route in life, and you need to walk the other direction. When you're facing challenges in your life, are you someone that thinks, what's the easiest way to avoid this? Because I think we as humans, we fall into this pattern where We're naturally lazy. We naturally want to simply survive. I mean, that's the human condition. Our job is to survive. Our body, that's what our brain wants to do down to its absolute ancestral core. But it's this push for more, this push for discomfort that I think is within everybody, but a lot of people suppress because it is hard. It is uncomfortable. It's not ideal. It gets in the way of things in our lives. And rather than figuring it out and seeing through on things, knowing there is a reward, because if you ask anybody, hey, if you work hard enough, what are the chances? If you work really hard at something that you love to do, what are the chances you succeed in that thing? And I think a lot of people, and if not all people, ideally, well, yeah, duh. But yet, those are people knowing that there is a big reward. There is an easier life. There is these things that they want on the other side of hard, and yet they'll choose to go easy. And it really breaks down to you didn't want it bad enough. Because if you wanted it bad enough, you would choose to do the hard thing over the easy thing. You need to choose your hard. You need to choose your hard. Because it's hard to get up early, and it's hard to drag your butt to the gym every day, and it's hard to go to work every day and focus and excel and try to work for that promotion, and it's hard to come home and work on relationships, and it's hard to manage money, and it's hard. It's hard to manage friends, family, relationship while doing all those things. But it's also hard to be broke. It's hard to be out of shape and fat. It's hard to not have loving relationships in your life. It's hard to not be able to have friends to hang out with in life and juggle those things. That's hard. Life is hard. So you need to choose your hard. What are you willing to put up with? Because I can bet you the more crap you're willing to put up with and the better you get at handling that non-comfortable spot, the more rewarding the other side is. It doesn't have to be easy. It's not supposed to be easy. Okay? So choose courage over comfort. So this week, my idea for you, my tip for you, go choose to do a hard thing this week. And that's where the reward lies. The magic is in the work that you're avoiding. Chris Williams said it best. The magic is in the work that you're avoiding. Okay, we talked about that. Going the straight path. What are you afraid to do this week? What's something that you've been afraid to do? Go do it. See the reward. Because just you even getting through it, just you even doing the said thing, that's the start of a journey. That's the start of possibilities that your brain couldn't comprehend, but then you did it. Okay, so choose courage over comfort. Rule number 9. I like this one. Learn to read people. Life is human. Business is human. Study motives. Look beneath the surface. Robert Greene says this, and it's so true. Everyone wears a mask. Your job is to see beyond it. We live in a world where human nature tells us do what's best for you. And some people take that to heart more than others. Some people have the ability to empathize and sympathize and outwardly put down the fake, the mask, and showcase true intentions. But yet at the same time, it's hard to know who does that. Because the truth is you never know who's telling the truth. But sometimes the truth is right in front of you. Have you ever stepped back and truly observed people in your life? People, I do, you go out, go out with your friends one night, okay? Don't drink. Drink some soda, drink some water. And just sit back, don't say anything, and watch what people do around you. You will see a lot. Because you're looking at from a perspective of everybody else in that social. You're in a different perspective there. People watch. People watch people in your life. Look at how they react to situations. How do they treat people? When I want to get to know somebody and I'm looking for somebody that I potentially want to date or become friends with, I truly do. I mean, I talk a lot, but people would be surprised that I observe a lot. I sit back and I watch people. How do you interact with other people? I truly look at that. How do you portray yourself on social media? In what way do you talk? What language do you use? How do you talk about situations that are hard? Think about the values you have in your life. How do people talk about those? How do they resonate with those? Those stories will tell you everything. We're creatures of habit. We're creatures of patterns. The patterns are in front of you. But we go back to this blindness that everybody's wearing this mask because they want to hide these habits they have that are standing in front of you if you just look and observe from a non-biased, quiet position. You'll see right through it. You'll see through the mask. Some people, you can see through it quickly. Other people, not so much. And I have a conviction that the people that you have a hard time seeing through the most are the people that you think the most fondly about, the people that you have the most positive experiences with. You don't want to see the negative. But when you see the negative and you still choose to accept the negative and work through the negative, that's where true, powerful connection is built. That's where you resonate with people. But at the same time, you protect yourself, whether it be in business relationships, looking at things for what they are and not what they could be. That's how you protect yourself. Now, that doesn't mean avoid things in your life. That doesn't mean avoid connection. That doesn't mean avoid people and think the worst in every case scenario. But you need to be mindful of who people are and what they do and what they're capable of at any given moment. Because you save yourself a lot of trouble, a lot of pain. But at the same time, you become efficient in how you handle things. You become efficient in the people you put around you. Your circle becomes smaller. Your trust begins to grow with people because you know what you're getting with. You know, they always say, keep your enemies closer. Keep your enemies close. Your friends close and your enemies closer. And it couldn't be more true. Because it's your friends, or it's the people you think you trust, will be the first ones to turn around behind your back and do something you never thought they would do. Now, although that's kind of a dark point, there's a reality to that. Save yourself a lot of time and a lot of trouble if you sit back and you learn to read people. See through the mask that they're wearing. Rule number 10. Be strict with your time and generous with your kindness. Time is your only non-renewable asset. Marcus knew this, and so did Hormozi. They ruthlessly cut out distractions, but they still took time to uplift others. It's not either or, it's both and. Guard your calendar, but smile at strangers. Compliment your friends, and efficiency plus empathy is the most powerful combo you can have. So I think we run into this a lot. I hear a lot of people, we'll talk about they're getting stepped on. They're getting used for things. And they might know that this is happening, yet they choose to allow people to do it because they're just a kind person. They just care so much about this person. And it's great that you see the best in people, but that could be your biggest weakness. Understanding that you can't get time back. Why are you allowing people to waste it? If people do not align with what you want in life, what the things that you love in life, your values, why are you wasting time trying to convince that person or convince yourself that it's worth your time? It goes back to this keeping death in front of you, in this forefront, this perspective in front of you of like, you don't have time to do this. You don't have time to waste on people who aren't aligning with who you are. You don't have time to be used by people. If you're somebody who's openly okay with being used and wasting your time, it's time to sit down and have that conversation, like a candid conversation with yourself. You can't get that back. And it should upset you if people waste your time. It should. You need to be nice to everywhere you go. Uplift people. It costs no money to do that. And it barely takes time. Smiling at someone, that could make someone's day. But understand that your kindness needs to be guarded too. That's an asset. Because if you're kind to everybody, what does that signal? Massive weakness. We talk about it with the nice guy always finishes last. There's nothing wrong with being a gentleman. There's nothing wrong with being a nice guy. But understanding that if a girl is sending signals that she does not like you, or she is using you, or she's not reciprocating the same energy that you give to her, you're wasting your time. It goes back to that. Guard your time. You're not fooling around. When you stand on that business, when you stand on my time is valuable, and so if you waste it, I'll just walk. Or if you can't align with what I want, there's no bad wishes upon you, but I'm walking. When you approach life that way, people begin to sense that energy and won't try and won't bullshit with you. But at the same time, they respect you. There's this just innate respect. This dude doesn't mess around. This girl, she doesn't mess around. She doesn't have time for games. He doesn't want to, deal with this BS. So I'm not even going to try because I know the result already. That's respect. That's true power. And guess what? You'll notice the less you put up with that, the more you guard your schedule and are nice at the same time. One, the more people like and respect you, but the less bullshit enters your life because you don't allow it to begin with. And it has people who bring that trouble into people's lives have a way of also knowing and picking people that are going to allow it to happen to make it worth their while. They're not going to waste time on you, knowing that you have a firm foot down when it comes to your time, your resources, and your generosity. Because that's not a weakness. Generosity is a strength, but only if you frame it that way. So, this week, audit your time. What is one thing in your life that drains you? Cut it out, and then offer kindness to somebody without a return ticket. Big one there. So find something that drains you, something that takes energy out of you that just isn't worth doing. Whether it's an argument with someone, whether it's, wasting time having a conversation with this person, or just the person that's the girl that you've been entertaining, but she's not giving you the energy back. Cut it out. Let it go. Okay? There's a relief. There's a sense of relief that will come from that. But then on top of that, go out and offer kindness to somebody without something in return. You don't need anything in return. Be a nice person. It costs you $0 to go out and say something nice to someone and stop and have a 30-second conversation with an older woman. Say hi. Tell her she looks nice that day. You have no idea the way that can affect people. I work in the people industry. I work with people every day. And you would not believe how important it is to operate with a sense of, I'm standing on business, I have a schedule, I respect my time, but I'm gonna when I have time to focus on you, you matter. People let their guard down. You'll see people, they'll put down that wall. They'll relax. Okay. Go make someone's day, but understand that your time is important because you're never getting it back. Moving on. Take a quick break for you. This one's good. Fall in love with boredom. Most successes look boring up close. What do I mean by that? So we often all look at people who have succeeded and done super important things in their life, and we see the finished product, and the finished product looks pretty good. It looks awesome. It looks amazing. Oh my gosh, the private jet. Oh my gosh, the yacht, the lake house, the boat, the jet ski, the nice clothes, the watch. That's what you see, but you have no idea what it took to get there. And you'd be surprised that when you look into someone's life and what it took to get there, it's pretty boring. You notice that it stems from patterns. Success stems from patterns. Mundane patterns. Very boring days. I mean, I would make the case that the more boring your routine, the more mundane and robotic your routine, probably the more successful you're getting. The more work that's getting done, the more progress is being made. You get up, you go lift, you drink the same protein shake every day for breakfast, you eat your healthy food, you go to work, you grind, you go to lunch, like you come home, you get some work done, you go to bed. You get a hobby done, your 5 to 9 hobby, you go to bed. Your social life might be dampered. Your excitement in life, your chase for that might be dampered, but you're choosing to damper that now at the cost of a better life later. rather than people who think they're always needing a thrill, they're always needing something in life to stimulate them. They often run into disappointment. They run into lack of finding that passion. There's no purpose behind what they do besides chasing the dopamine rush. Success is boring, dude. Success is boring. It is a string of mundane tasks over and over and over and over again that lead to results because it's consistency. Hormozi calls it the volume of effort. Williamson says, fall in love with the process. Such cliche things to say, but results come from doing the unsexy work over and over and over again. It doesn't need to look pretty. You're not showing everyone anyway. If your life seems really boring right now in a period of growth, good, you're on the right path. Okay? Fall in love with the boredom. Be okay with not doing the fun thing all the time. Sure, go enjoy life, but fall in love with doing the mundane task, doing the process, doing the same thing over and over again, because that's where the results will come from. And then you get to create a life that you only wished of having, and people will look at and go, damn, his life looks fun. Damn, her life looks fun. How did she manage that? How did he manage that? They fell in love with boredom. All right. Last one. Rule number 12. Shape yourself like clay. You are not a finished product. You are a project in motion. Peterson says to treat yourself like somebody you're responsible for helping. Marcus Aurelius journaled every single day. Not because he was perfect, but because he wanted to become better. Ask yourself, what part of my character do I want to shape? Patience, courage, discipline. How do I get there? Understand that it's a never-ending thing. You're never going to feel like you're ahead, especially people who are high achievers. You're never going to feel like you're getting ahead. You always feel like you're one step behind. But when you step back, and it's good to step back and you look, you might be miles ahead of everybody else. But understand that you're a constant work. You're a constant, in motion of work. That's where purpose comes from. That's the human endeavor. It doesn't stop, and it should never stop. Because with that stopping, that chase for more, that perspective of I'm constantly getting better somehow, some way. And those things change over time. Those priorities change. Becoming, it could be becoming in better shape in your 20s. And by the time you're 60, it's becoming a better grandfather, a better husband, a better father to your kids. Those are all things. Those are all part of the shaping yourself for like clay. You might master something. You might master the getting in shape. You might be really good at it. But have you mastered emotional intelligence? Have you mastered your marriage? Have you mastered a relationship? Have you mastered being a good father? Have you mastered time management? Right? There's always something. I think a lot of people need to take time in their day, sit down with themselves and think, what am I really proud of myself about? What are things I'm really good at? But more importantly, what are things that I struggle with? What are things that I could get better at? And put a little bit of extra focus every single week. What is something daily that you can do that's going to mold and shape that into reality? That skill, that thing you want to get better at. And it could be as simple as giving a little bit extra time to the people in your life. It could be as simple as going to the gym an hour more a day, an hour a day. It doesn't need to be crazy. Small things. But understand that every single day, the rest of your life, chase something, some way to get better, because there is always a way. You will never, ever be a finished product. Not at 60, not at 70, not at 80. You always need to grow. Because when you stop growing, purpose fades. And when purpose fades, the meaning of life typically fades with it. Okay? So sculpt yourself like clay. You're responsible for yourself. You're responsible for helping yourself. Treat it that way. Be your own best friend. Right. Okay. So that right there We kind of flew through it a little bit, tried to dive deep into it. Those are 12 rules that I think will change your life for the better. They will give you strength. They will give you discipline. They will give you meaning in life. But none of these principles work if they stay ideas. I can sit here and tell you them all day long. I can preach, but they're all just ideas I'm throwing at you. They only work when you live them. Take one of these out of this episode and apply it in some way, somehow. What resonates with you? You can't do all 12. Take one of them for now. Put it in your life, see how your life changes. Okay? You don't need all 12 at once. You need one that you're willing to act on this week. Pick one in this episode, write it down, move on it. I would love to hear people's feedback on this. I would love to hear people say, I did this in my life and my life changed for the better. Because these are things even I, as researching them and picking through them and reading about them, I've picked a couple in my life that apply directly to me. Probably 2 of them, 2 or 3 of them that I know I can take actionable steps right now to do. So, I appreciate you guys joining in for episode 5 of Afterthoughts. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with someone. Okay? Keep building a life worth remembering. That's the human endeavor. That's what I want for you guys. And that's what I want for you to spread to the people in your life. Thanks for watching episode 5 of Afterthoughts. We'll see you guys next episode.